Bernard Hickey, good morning.
Good morning.
Bernard Hickey, are you going to say this is a scandal this morning? I think you might.
Yes, it's a scandal.
This is a scandal. It should become your catch cry, isn't it? It should be your blog. This is a scandal.com.
Yes.
The national government is considering spending $6 billion bailing out the Auckland Council's leaky building problem.
Yes.
This is a scandal.
Yes, this surfaced in the Herald on Saturday, and I'm surprised it hasn't had more attention. What the government appears to be doing quietly behind the scenes is doing a deal to bail out the Auckland Council using taxpayers' money from the rest of the country. Now, it is a problem, leaky buildings. And what's happened is that the local councils here didn't give the right assessments to those people who were building. The builders built these horrible houses, and then as soon as they got into problems, they've just liquidated their companies and then started a new company. You know, it was Great Homes number 1. They've liquidated that. Now they're working as Great Homes number 2, and you can't get at them. And so there are these people holding these homes that are worth nothing. But the idea that the central government will use money collected from taxpayers in Belclutha to pay for the poor decisions and the poor building practices of someone in Ponsonby is, frankly, a scandal. And I'm surprised the government's actually considering this, and it's something that New Zealanders should jump on, because this is an Auckland problem, frankly, and it's Auckland who should pay for it. If that means high rates, and I'm an Auckland ratepayer, then so be it. But it shouldn't be paid for by the rest of New Zealand.
$6 billion's a huge amount of money.
So big that there are fears it might actually damage our national credit rating. That's how big it is. It's an astonishing number.
Mind you, the leaky building problem, it's part of the reason that our housing market's so overcooked, because of shortage of property. All those ones are leaky. I mean, there are real ramifications for leaky buildings.
In Auckland. It's mostly an Auckland problem. There's a few in Wellington and a few other places. But this was a part of the boom that went on between late 90s, early 2000s. A lot of houses were built. There was a lot of greed glinting in the eyes of builders and developers and homeowners who bought these things. And now,
where's the greed on the homeowner?
They wanted a flash new house.
That's not greed.
Yes, it is.
Bernard, I don't think you can sit there and start accusing leaky building home, which must be the most disturbing thing in the world to go through, is it's their own fault because they were greedy. Well, I'm going to call you on that.
No, there were a lot of property investors who bought these things. And also there are an awful lot of people who bought them in the last 4 or 5 years when they knew that there were significant issues, or should have known there were significant issues. And they are expecting to be bailed out. What this $6 billion will do will actually pump up prices again as people jump in and buy these houses knowing they're going to be bailed out.
Good point. You make good points. Labour's talking about this is after their conference, Labour's talking about possible changes to the way monetary policy runs, with perhaps other targets as well as inflation. Comments?
Yes, this is interesting. David Cunliffe came out after the conference. He wanted to have a chat with his people at the Labour conference before coming out and saying, hey, let's look at other monetary policy tools. This will be music to the ears of exporters who've been saying for a long time, you focus too much on inflation, you keep hammering us with higher interest rates when that just drives the currency higher. And David Cunliffe is saying, let's think about it.
The value of the dollar, is that one of the targets, or what?
Possibly. He's talking also about employment. He's talking about the export sector. So, it's worth having a look at. Certainly there's a problem there, and we'll see what happens.
Okay, Labour also appearing to leave the way open to help National out of a jam with a capital gains tax, and may support from a move from capital gains tax on investment properties.
Yeah, well, this is interesting. Until now, National have been pretty against the capital gains tax because they know it's just anathema to their base, to their main voters. But if Labour comes in and says, hey, we'll help you out here, we'll accept capital gains tax on non-residential properties, that may help National out of a jam and allow this one through.
With a capital gains tax on investment properties, that would only work when you sell those properties?
Yes, and there has to be some sort of slow bringing in of the program. You couldn't just say, hey, retrospectively, this thing kicked in 2000 and you're immediately up for a big chunk of cash if you sell tomorrow.
Because I suppose most people with limited, these companies, LIM companies or whatever they're called, what's the name for them?
LAQCs.
LAQCs. I suppose those people aren't buying and selling investment properties, they're just buying them and hanging on to them and keeping them.
Well, there are a lot of people who do sell them, and right now there'd be a lot of people thinking maybe now's a good time to sell, particularly if there's talk of a capital gains tax. Why wait? Why not take your money now off the table?
Something's got to give, hasn't it?
Yeah, so this is not sustainable. And there was a good interview on Sunday on Andrew Patterson's show with Alan Bullard saying, this is not sustainable.
Is the All Blacks sustainable?
Don't talk to me about the All Blacks.
You're going to spend $800 buying a ticket for a team that might even be there in the final, pay it off over 6 months?
In Hamilton. There must be some very grumpy people in Hamilton.
Good stuff. Thanks very much, Brendan.